Why, hello there. So, aside from the Obi-Wan reference there, I think it's about time that we discuss something a little different that we haven't talked about before on this channel, and for a very good reason. Because thing is you don't know until you go through that stuff about some of the things that your mind's going to go through. And you can read all the books, you can look at all the resources in regard to it, but still doesn't change the fact that you still don't know until it's actually happening. Now, I'm sure you've read the title, and I'm not going to waste any more of your time. We'll just jump right into the topic. Now, I'm sure my wife is probably going to see this, and this is a full disclaimer just for her, which some of you might get a laugh at. But I love you very much, and yeah, I guess best way to say this is I love you very much, and this video is not in any way, shape, or form supposed to be putting you down. It's just my observations, because it's a lot different than I originally thought, to be honest. Because Western society is weird, and we're gonna leave it at that. Back to the video. So, for some of you guys, I know that you've come from different walks of life and different things and cultural beliefs. Now, interracial dating is not exactly for, let's say, the weak-willed, and especially long distance, because long distance takes A, a lot of communication, B, takes a lot of time, C, takes a lot of effort. Because everyone has to put in an equal amount of time and effort to make it work. And you both have to be willing to communicate. If one's communicating, the other one doesn't, well, the entire thing falls apart. Now, my wife and I have been married for roughly a little over a year now, closer to 2 years. But we spent pretty much our first full year of marriage being apart. And it's not exactly one of the easiest things to go through, especially when you're apart and you're trying to make things work. Not only making sure that they're taken care of, but making sure that everything back home is taken care of too. Now, I'm fairly certain, and I'm going to put myself on blast here, my wife was thinking that everything was going to be hunky and dory when she came over, and that everything was going to be the way that she imagined. Spoiler alert, it really wasn't. So, long story short, there's a few different things there that unmet expectations and so on and so forth. But overall, what I've learned from dating and marrying an African woman, especially one from like the northern part of Uganda, I guess is what they consider it. But biggest thing is you have to be willing to understand that they're going to sound a lot different to us when they say certain things. To them, it makes perfect sense. Like my wife asking for a Coke. Now, I'm not going to say what she says here on the channel because I get demonetized for it. For what I hear, not what she's actually saying. And I joke around about it because now I'm used to her saying it, and then I'm like, oh, she just wants a can of Coke. But that's not at all what it sounds like to me, being an English speaker. Which, to be fair, a lot of other countries, when they're saying a can of Coke, sounds the exact same way. Not just African countries, but you also have the Asian countries as well. And everyone that speaks English gets a giggle out of it. However, they don't think it's really all that funny. Number 2, they love having a clean household. Now, I'm fortunate that my wife doesn't wear a pile of makeup, like none at all, which is great. But the one thing that I'm learning is she is just like everybody else in the sense of it has to be clean in the house. So for us guys that like leaving our pants on the floor, that is a no bueno. Which a lot of you guys are probably thinking, well, duh, we already kind of knew that women do not like us leaving our clothes on the floor. Yeah, and that's something that's a lot more prevalent when the first person you're with is the first person that you marry, and then you spend 2 years apart from each other, and then you finally get into that step of being together, and they learn all of your bad habits. So, long story short, pick up your clothes and help them when they need help doing things, because they appreciate that more than you realize. They may not always say it or express it, but they do internally appreciate it. It's just not always outwardly expressed as a thank you. Sometimes it may seem like it's condescending when it's not meant to be. And that is just like every other culture out there, including ours. We'll say a certain thing and somebody else will take it the wrong direction. So just be aware that not everything's as it seems. Sometimes they're perfectly fine with what you did for them. They are trying to convey it the way that they know how. It's just you don't understand what they're getting at. That's the biggest thing. And another thing is talking about their hair. They love to put oil and other stuff in their hair to make it shine, to make it glisten, and they love their oil on their bodies so that it doesn't crack their skin, because they typically back home spent a lot of time in the sun. However, when you're in a cold climate, there's no sun. And I'll show you what I mean. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come for snow again. So, aside from that, there's a lot of things that you have to get used to, because they're also not used to the cold weather. They're used to everything being warm. And typically in Canada, I know a lot of us know the stuff about our rice, about it's only good for a couple of days in the fridge. And for them, that seems like a very foreign concept. And it may seem like you are pushing and pulling for a very long time until somebody gets sick. Which, luckily, we haven't, but it's also because I help my wife and I'm very diligent about that to make sure that she doesn't get sick from it. Because I'm well aware the effect that rice can have when it's left out for too long. Which, speaking of which, I still have to deal with the rice. Yeah. So, what is the final thing that we're going to bring up right now? The clothing. Oh, the clothing. Now, in Uganda, when somebody dresses up in a suit and tie, especially if they think you look good, they will say you look very smart, which is their form of saying you look handsome. So for those of us men that are dummies, that is what they are saying, is you look good. You look handsome. And on the other hand, my wife also tells me I look like a hairless cat when I shave. But that's probably because I told her I look like a hairless cat when I shave. Which is totally unrelated to the topic at hand, but you guys are welcome for that one. Enjoy a laugh at my expense. Anyways, moving back to the point. The clothing. They're used to wearing stuff that keeps them warm even during the warmest of days and during their coldest of days, which their coldest of days typically is during their rainy seasons. Because in Africa, they don't get much snow. And the reason why I say they don't get much snow is because the very tallest mountains all across the different countries do get snow. However, no one's crazy enough to climb up those for the most part because no one really owns snow pants. And snow is a very foreign concept to them. And when they get to Canada, they look at it and they're like, there's white stuff on the ground, and it's cold, and I'm freezing, and I don't like it. Welcome to the Canadian experience of having to shovel snow every couple of days when it is snowing nonstop for a couple of days. My hands are cold, my face hurts, and I don't know why I live where the air hurts my face. But, all that being aside is, they're used to certain clothes, and when they tell you they look smart, it's them giving you a compliment. Just accept it for what it is. Don't be trying to read into it and go, What does she mean that I look smart? Do I look stupid? Is that what you're insinuating? No, that's not at all what she's insinuating, you dummy. She is just saying you look it. That is the equivalent of a lady putting on a dress, and you say, oh, you look beautiful today. You wouldn't want her to turn around going, you don't think I look beautiful every other day? Yeah, exactly my point. So, moving on from that, I think we've covered a few basics here. I don't need to go super into detail because this video is already long enough. But it is a new year, and I hope you're having a fantastic new year. And if it's not, I hope it gets better for you sooner rather than later. Peace out, and I will see you all in the very next video. Bye-bye!